Let me ask you something that will shake the foundation of what you believe is possible. What if I told you without a shadow of a doubt that you will be a millionaire in 1 month? You might smile, maybe even scoff, and say, that sounds crazy. But let me assure you, what you call crazy today, your future self will call inevitable. This is not about lottery luck. This is not about working 20 hours a day or chasing investors. This is about stepping into a reality where wealth already exists for you. A version of you, a richer, freer, and more powerful you, already lives in the now. The only thing standing between you and that version is the bridge built by belief. You are not waiting on the world to make you rich. The world is waiting on you to recognize that you already are. Money is not something you chase. It is something you attract through identity, through alignment, through certainty. You don't need to hope, hustle, or hustle harder. You need to know, and knowing is the secret you were never told. So before you brush this off as unrealistic, listen closely. Because in the next few minutes, your entire understanding of wealth, time, and possibility is going to collapse. And from the ashes of that old understanding, a new reality will rise where you will be a millionaire, not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but in 1 month. The power of assumption is the most creative force you possess, yet it's often the most overlooked. You may believe that action, strategy, or timing are what bring wealth into your life. But look deeper. Every action begins with a thought, and every thought gains its direction and momentum from what you assume to be true. Assumption is not mere hope, and it is certainly not wishful thinking. It is the inner certainty that something is so, even if your 5 senses say otherwise. When you assume wealth, success, or abundance to be your reality, not only do your thoughts change, but your behavior, emotions, and results change with it. The external world does not lead the internal. Your internal state always leads the external manifestation. Assumption is the silent architect of your reality. When you look at your current circumstances, your bank account, your job, your surroundings, what you're seeing is not truth, but reflections of your previous assumptions. If you walk through life believing that money is hard to earn, that wealth takes years, or that success is only for a lucky few, those assumptions will shape your world accordingly. They will filter your opportunities, your choices, and even your energy. But the moment you replace those assumptions with new ones, powerful, aligned, and expansive ones, you start to shift your inner world, and the outer world must follow. The world is a mirror. It reflects not what you want, not what you say, it reflects what you believe. And belief is nothing more than repeated assumption accepted as fact. Think about it. A child believes in magic because he assumes it's real. And in that assumption, he lives in a world where wonder, awe, and miracles exist. Adults lose this power, not because they grow up, but because they stop assuming the good, the impossible, the divine. But assumption, when wielded consciously, can return you to that creative power. When you assume, I am a millionaire, even if your current conditions say otherwise, you begin to magnetize thoughts, feelings, and circumstances that align with that assumption. There is no gap between imagination and reality, only delay, and delay exists only as long as doubt remains. The stronger your assumption, the faster it solidifies into form. This is why some people can rise to wealth seemingly out of nowhere. They're not lucky, they are certain. They move with a kind of inner knowing that the world must rearrange itself to reflect who they have decided they are. They assume wealth, not with arrogance, but with calm assurance. They don't chase riches, they radiate the frequency of having already received them. This is the secret to rapid transformation. But to use this power, you must assume boldly and consistently. You cannot say, I am rich while feeling poor. You cannot speak of wealth and dwell in lack. Assumption is not just a statement, it is a full-body experience. It is feeling, walking, thinking, and living from the end. It is rising each morning with the knowing, I am already the one I desire to become. When you begin to live this way, time becomes irrelevant. You are no longer waiting for wealth. You are embodying it. And when embodiment is consistent, the world cannot help but comply. This is not delusion. This is creation. The universe responds not to what is reasonable, but to what is real to you. The one who assumes deeply enough doesn't need evidence. They generate it. A poor man who assumes wealth will, in time, create the opportunities, insights, and energy that draw money in. The wealthy person who assumes loss will soon sabotage their success. Assumption works in both directions. It's always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously. The question is not, does it work? The question is, what am I assuming right now? To become a millionaire in 1 month, you must begin today to assume that it's already done. You must let go of the how, the when, the fear. You must declare internally, this is who I am now. You must trust that assumption is more powerful than effort, because effort without alignment is chaos. Assumption brings structure to your life force. It channels it. It aligns your heart, mind, and behavior to a single outcome. That unity creates momentum, and that momentum carries you across what once felt impossible. Let go of logic. Logic is bound by limitation. Assumption is guided by vision. Logic tells you what's likely. Assumption tells you what's possible. And possibility is where miracles live. You are not here to repeat old cycles. You are here to create new ones. When you assume wealth deeply and continually, you collapse the timeline between desire and reality. Your mind becomes the womb of riches, and what you feel real within must become real without. In the end, assumption is the birthplace of every manifestation. It is the ignition switch of your destiny. Begin now, not later, not tomorrow. Right now, in this breath, assume the role, feel the identity. Own the truth of who you've decided to be. Say it inwardly. I am a millionaire. Not in desperation, but in peace, in knowing, in power. Because when assumption is pure, unwavering, and lived from, it becomes law. And the law never fails. To live from the end means to inhabit the reality of your desire before it has physically arrived. It is not about waiting for evidence to believe. It is about believing so completely that the evidence has no choice but to appear. When you live from the end, you act, think, feel, and move as if your dream has already been fulfilled. You stop asking, when will it happen? And begin embodying the truth that it already has. This shift in awareness is not theoretical. It is the bridge that transports your vision from the unseen world of imagination into the visible world of form. The mistake most people make is that they live from their current conditions, not from their desired outcome. They look at their bank account and see lack, so they feel lack, speak lack, and react to life from the state of lack. But what they don't realize is that this reaction continues the cycle. They are reinforcing the very reality they wish to escape. But those who live from the end operate differently. They close their eyes and see the wealth, the freedom, the fulfillment, and they don't wait for the outer world to give them permission to feel rich. They feel it now. They choose to dwell in the experience of their fulfilled desire now. Living from the end is not pretending. It is becoming. Pretending implies you're faking something that isn't true. But becoming is the deep, internal knowing that you are stepping into your highest reality. It is choosing the version of yourself that already has what you want, and letting that version of you guide your thoughts, actions, and emotions. You begin to ask different questions. Not how will I get the money, but what would I do today if I already had it? Not when will I be free, but how would I walk, talk, and think if freedom was already mine? These shifts are subtle, but they carry immense creative power. Everything you see around you began in imagination. Every building, every invention, every empire started in the mind of someone who dared to live from the end. They didn't wait for the world to validate them. They validated themselves first, internally. And that internal assumption became the blueprint from which the external world was formed. The moment you begin living as the version of you who is already a millionaire, you stop operating from lack, you stop chasing, you start attracting. Because your energy becomes aligned with the outcome you desire, and alignment always precedes manifestation. Feelings are the fuel of living from the end. You cannot just say, "I am rich" with your mouth while your heart trembles with fear. You must feel the richness, the abundance, the peace of having already arrived. Visualization helps, meditation helps, stillness helps, but most of all, faith helps. Faith in the unseen. Faith in your imagination. Faith in the process. And faith that what you feel as real within will crystallize without, in perfect time. You must trust the end so deeply that you no longer concern yourself with the middle. When you truly live from the end, something beautiful happens. Detachment. You no longer grasp or strain. You are not constantly checking the clock or seeking signs. You rest in the knowing. You walk through the day as one who already has it. This doesn't mean you don't act. It means your actions are inspired, not desperate. You move not to get, but because you already have. It's a state of flow, ease, and quiet certainty. This is why some people rise to success rapidly. They are not more talented. They are not luckier. They are simply more aligned. They've closed the gap between who they were and who they want to be by assuming the end and living from it. The universe bends for those who refuse to doubt their inner world, because the world is not separate from you. It is a reflection of you. And when the reflection inside is consistent, the outside must catch up. So live from the end, not next month, not next week, now. Picture the life you want and step into it emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Let that version of you guide your steps. Let that feeling become your home. The more often you visit the end, the more quickly it becomes your present. And soon, what was once imagined becomes inevitable. Because when you live from the end lives in you. And from that place, miracles are born. Your imagination is not just a playful tool for daydreaming, it is the most divine creative force you possess. Every event in your life, every person you attract, every opportunity you encounter begins in the unseen space of your inner world. Imagination is not separate from reality. It is the seed of reality. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting what has already taken root in the world of imagination. Once you understand this, you begin to see that you are not a victim of circumstances. You are the author of them. The world around you may appear to be solid, structured, and independent of your thoughts, but it is not. It is plastic, moldable, responsive. It bends and reshapes itself to match the images you consistently hold in your mind. This is not poetic theory, it is law. If you imagine failure, you invite it. If you imagine wealth, you summon it. Imagination is the workshop of creation, and whether you use it consciously or unconsciously, it is always active, always creating, always building the future you will soon walk into. When you say, "I want to be a millionaire," but you imagine debt, limitation, and fear, you are using your imagination in reverse. You are creating what you do not want. But when you close your eyes and vividly see yourself walking into the bank, holding the $1 million check, or checking your account balance and seeing 7 figures, when that image becomes natural to you, you have activated the creative force that brings wealth into being. The mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you feel something intensely and repeatedly, it imprints upon your subconscious and sets a new direction for your life. Everything starts within. A business idea, a lifestyle, a home, a solution, all of it first arises in the formless space of thought. The clearer and more emotionally charged your imagination, the faster it begins to pull into your life the people, events, and circumstances needed to make it real. This is why so many people who appear to be average in talent become extraordinary in results. They see themselves winning. They don't just wish, they see. And seeing creates believing. And belief opens the gates to manifestation. You were never meant to live by sight alone. The eyes show you what is already old. What you see today is the harvest of yesterday's thoughts. But imagination shows you what can be. And that is where your power lives. To become a millionaire in 1 month, you must first become a millionaire in your imagination. You must dwell in the scene of the wish fulfilled. You must rehearse it until it feels not foreign but familiar. Until the idea of being rich no longer excites you, it calms you because it feels like home. When you imagine with feeling, you give life to the vision. Emotion is the breath that animates your mental image. A lifeless thought is just a wish, but a feeling-infused picture is a command to the universe. That's why it's not enough to say, I want more money. You must see the money, touch the money, feel the confidence, the freedom, the expansion that wealth brings. You must feel it so deeply that the absence of it feels strange. This is how imagination becomes the creative engine of your destiny. Do not underestimate this practice. The greatest inventors, leaders, and visionaries used imagination to shape the future. They saw what did not yet exist, and because they saw it clearly and felt it fully, the world responded. The same power lies within you. Your imagination is not fantasy, it is prophecy. It shows you what's possible, and then, if you dare to believe it, it starts rearranging the world around you to bring it to life. Make time daily to enter this sacred space. Close your eyes and live the scene. Not just as an observer, but as the main character. Feel your hands signing contracts, blessing others, giving generously, living abundantly. Hear the congratulations, the celebration, the peace that comes with knowing you are no longer struggling, you are thriving. As you repeat this process, your subconscious mind accepts it as reality. And once it is accepted within, it must be expressed without. You don't need to figure out how. That's not your job. Your job is to imagine it vividly and feel it as real. The how is the work of the universe, and the universe never fails to deliver what is consistently imagined with faith and emotion. Your life is not a product of chance. It is a product of what you see and feel within yourself. Begin to use your imagination not to relive the past, but to preview the future. A future so vivid, so exciting, and so real that you cannot help but become it. This is the secret. Your imagination is God in action. It is the creative spirit expressing through you. Treat it with reverence, use it wisely, and watch how quickly your imagined wealth becomes the wealth you live. Emotion is the invisible force that animates your thoughts and fuels your manifestations. It is not enough to merely think of your desire, you must feel it into existence. Thought gives structure, but emotion gives life. When you infuse your mental images with deep emotion, you set them on fire with creative power. Without emotion, a thought is lifeless. It is like a seed lying dormant in dry soil. But when emotion is added, that seed begins to grow, take shape, and eventually break through into your external reality. Emotion is the magnet that draws the unseen into the seen. Most people misunderstand emotion. They believe it's something that comes only as a response to external events. But the truth is, emotion is a tool you can wield at will. It can be generated intentionally, and when used correctly, it becomes the fastest route to change. If you want to become a millionaire in 1 month, you must not wait until the money arrives to feel the joy, relief, or freedom. You must feel those things now. Because emotion doesn't follow manifestation. Manifestation follows emotion. Think for a moment, how would you feel if you already had everything you wanted? Would you wake up with stress? Would you worry about the bills? Or would you rise in peace, in confidence, in gratitude? That emotional state is not something to chase, it is something to practice. When you begin living in that emotional state before the money arrives, you align yourself with the frequency of wealth. And what you are emotionally aligned with, you begin to attract. The reason so many people fail to manifest what they desire is that their dominant emotional state contradicts their goals. They say they want abundance, but they live in fear. They say they want success, but they feel unworthy. Their emotions are at war with their vision. And because the universe responds to vibration, not words, it responds to what you feel, not what you say. If your feelings are rooted in lack, that is the energy you're transmitting. And that is the energy life mirrors back to you. To reverse this, you must train yourself to feel as if your desire is already fulfilled. This is more than affirmation. It is embodiment. It is sitting quietly, closing your eyes, and imagining your ideal life. Not from a distance, but from within. What does it feel like to walk into your dream home, to see your bank account overflowing, to give freely to others without hesitation? Let that feeling rise up, not as a fantasy, but as a reality you're living now. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. And when it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. Emotion is energy in motion. When you carry the emotional state of success, you move differently. You speak with clarity. You make decisions with confidence. You treat yourself and others with respect. These changes ripple outward, altering the way the world responds to you. Opportunities find you, people begin to treat you like the person you've already become. Circumstances align in ways you never could have planned. This is not magic. This is resonance. When you carry the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you become a vibrational match to it. There is a kind of sacred discipline in emotional certainty. It means refusing to let your external circumstances dictate how you feel. It means choosing the inner state of your desire over the outer state of your current life. Yes, the bills may be due. Yes, your environment may still reflect lack. But if you can master your emotional world, those outer conditions will eventually bow to your inner authority. Reality follows your dominant emotional tone, and when your emotional tone is set to abundance, wealth begins to flow. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotional states you can cultivate. Not the kind of gratitude that is reactive, but the kind that is proactive. The gratitude you feel before the evidence shows up. When you thank life for a blessing not yet received, you signal your belief that it's already on its way. That belief, backed by emotion, acts like a command. The universe responds swiftly to a heart filled with certainty. Begin every day in gratitude for what is coming, and watch how quickly it begins to arrive. You can't fake emotion. The energy you carry is either true or it isn't. That's why practice is so vital. You must spend time daily immersing yourself in the feeling of the life you desire. Make it a ritual. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, step into the scene of your ideal future, and feel it. The joy, the confidence, the peace, the freedom, let those feelings wash over you until they no longer feel imagined, but remembered. When you reach that state, you are no longer hoping, you are knowing, and knowing, backed by emotion, is unstoppable. You do not need to convince the world. You only need to convince yourself. When your heart believes what your mind sees, the world moves. Emotion is the key that unlocks the door to rapid manifestation. It is the bridge between thought and form. Use it with intention. Feel deliberately. Let your emotions rise to the level of your vision. And when they do, nothing, not time, not logic, not circumstance, can stop your desire from becoming your reality. The millionaire version of you is already real. Let your emotions catch up, and the world will follow. Detach from circumstances. That is the most liberating truth you must embrace if you wish to manifest wealth, success, or any form of abundance. Your current circumstances are not final. They are not fixed. They are not the truth of who you are or what you are capable of. They are simply echoes of past thoughts, old assumptions, former emotional patterns that have crystallized into what you see and experience now. When you understand that, you stop being reactive to what is and begin creating from what can be. Most people get trapped by appearances. They look at their bank balance, the debts, the lack, the job they dislike, and they let those outer facts define their inner state. But that is like trying to drive a car forward by staring into the rearview mirror. Circumstances are reflections of your old self, not indicators of your future. If you continue to emotionally respond to your environment as if it's immovable, you give it power over you. But when you detach, truly detach from what you see, you reclaim that power. Detachment is not denial. It's not pretending your situation doesn't exist. It's recognizing that your present situation is not your permanent identity. You don't ignore your circumstances. You just stop worshiping them. You stop giving them control over your mood, your beliefs, and your actions. Detachment means you stop letting the outer world dictate your inner world. And when you master your inner world, your outer world must change in response. The person who will become a millionaire in 1 month does not obsess over the absence of money. They do not constantly check the clock or worry about how it will happen. They live from a deeper truth. They know the power of the invisible is greater than the appearance of the visible. They have learned to walk by faith, not by sight, and in doing so they rise above the trap of circumstance. They understand that their imagination, their assumptions, and their emotional alignment carry more weight than any temporary condition. When you detach from circumstances, you free your creative energy. That energy, when no longer bound by stress and worry, becomes magnetized toward possibility. Your mind becomes a tool of intention, not a slave to reaction. You begin to see beyond what is and tap into what can be. That's when real manifestation begins, not when you try to fix your current life, but when you stop reacting to it and start creating from a new frequency. You must remember the outer world rearranges itself according to your state of being. If you stay in the state of I am poor, the world will show you more reasons to believe it. But if you shift to I am rich, even while your external world says otherwise, and you hold that state with emotional certainty and imaginative clarity, the world will begin to mirror your new state, not instantly, but faithfully. Because the world always catches up with the reality you hold inside. Detachment allows you to stop needing, and need is the signal of lack. When you need something, you vibrate with the awareness that you don't have it. But when you detach, when you already feel whole, fulfilled, and content regardless of what you see, you enter into the state of having, and from that state, you attract what you used to chase. The very act of detaching places you in the position of power, of alignment, of creation. It may feel difficult at first, especially when the bills are due, or people around you reinforce the narrative of struggle. But this is exactly when your strength is tested. Detachment doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you don't bow to it. You observe the fear, the doubt, the worry, and then return to your chosen state. You remind yourself that circumstances are temporary. They are not cause, they are effect. And you are the cause. Train yourself daily. When you see something in your outer world that contradicts your vision, don't react. Breathe. Smile inwardly. Know that it's just the past playing out, and that the new reality you've imagined and assumed is already taking shape behind the scenes. The less you emotionally engage with what you don't want, the faster you dissolve its power. You don't fight the current reality. You outgrow it. This is the mindset of the master creator, the one who does not flinch at facts, who does not waver in faith, the one who walks as if the vision is real, even while the world tries to convince them otherwise. And in time, the world surrenders. It bends to the will of the one who refuses to be controlled by it. Detach from what is, align with what will be, and let the rest unfold with grace. You are not here to hope for change. You are here to create it. Within you lives a force so powerful, so precise, that it can shape the course of your life in unimaginable ways. You have the ability to assume, to imagine, to feel, and to detach. These are not just spiritual ideas. They are practical tools that, when used with conviction, can bend time and bring forth results that defy logic. Becoming a millionaire in 1 month is not about luck or chance. It's about alignment. It's about choosing over and over again to live from the version of you that already has it. To trust the unseen more than the seen. To value your inner world more than your outer conditions. The moment you stop reacting to what is and start embodying what will be, everything shifts. Not slowly, but swiftly. Not someday, but now, because the world does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are.